Hi everybody, it's Tom from FindTheBestCarPrice.com. Today we're going to take a ride in the 2022 Volvo C40 Recharge Twin Ultimate. I'm only going to say that one time because boy, that's a mouthful, and if I can get through it one time, I don't want to try and get through it twice. But I want to share with you what it's like to drive this C40. So I can say C40 multiple times and be just fine. But what's it like to drive? Well, it's actually quite fun. It has a very sporty feel to it, and while the 0 to 60 is 4.7 seconds when you drop the quiet pedal. Okay, it's not the loud pedal, it's the quiet pedal. It's not a gas pedal, it's a power pedal. But when you drop the pedal, it doesn't take very long to get up to speed, and maybe get up to more speed than you need to. And I have done 0 to 60 in it wasn't a C40, it was an XC40, not really much of a difference as far as the power goes. It has the same amount of power, horsepower and torque, but the 0 to 60 is supposed to be 4.7 seconds. I've done it in 4.4. I recently did a test with this same model in another video and did it in 4.55 seconds, or ran a 455 for those of you who know about drag racing out there and know the terminology. But it has a very sporty feel to it. It handles great. Being all-wheel drive, obviously, that is going to have multiple advantages. It's going to help you to stay nice and glued to the road, especially when it's raining out and the roads are slick. Well, you just can't beat the stability of an all-wheel drive vehicle. So we're going to hop out here on the road, and let's see if we can get out here and give you a good experience of what it just sounds like to take off here. And just like that, we're at 60 miles an hour. I don't know that you could hear very much, but you could probably hear some of the floor mats and other materials that are in the cargo area back there being thrown back. Well, there's a lot of instant torque here, or there is just instant torque, I should say, not a lot. It is a lot, but well, let's try and get that right. Anyway, the instant torque is definitely a lot of fun, and that comes by the shift-by-wire, basically transmission, I guess you could call it. And what exactly does that mean? Well, what it ultimately means is that you have the instant torque. You don't have all of the multiple gears to go through with the transmission with a conventional transmission, where the RPM of the engine is constantly fluctuating to a point, dropping when it changes gears and having to work its way back up. So you get to take advantage of the horsepower in a very different way compared to what you would otherwise. And that's why these EVs, full EVs, are so quick. Quite a fun experience, to say the very least, even though 402 horsepower is by no means the most you can get out of a model such as this. I don't know what Volvo could ultimately tune into this if they really wanted to. Ultimately, the ride quality is good, and you will notice a little bit more road noise than normal. If you had somebody in the vehicle with you, well, that would probably help, talking back and forth, or maybe had something playing on the radio. But being that there's no sound coming from a gas motor, well, obviously that takes away from some of the sound that would normally keep you from hearing as much road noise. So I don't know that it's really fair to say that the road noise is maybe a little worse than another vehicle such as this. Kind of hard to say because, well, it's just not conventional in that respect. The interior is nice. It's filled with high-end materials. It's comfortable. It's roomy here in the front. Now, being the C40, it has that sloping rear roof line in the rear area back there. That's going to give it a little bit of a more sporty look, but it's also going to take a little bit of space away for headroom for rear seat passengers. Now, some people, depending on their height, well, might not be a big deal, but if you're over, say, 6 feet, probably even over 5'9" to 5'10", yeah, that can get a little bit challenging, but it's not terrible. Definitely not a big deal. I don't think it'll be a deal breaker in saying whether or not you want to buy a vehicle like this. Leather wrapped steering wheel. It's going to have a lot of great features throughout that make it comfortable, not only with that leather wrapped steering wheel, but with the seats themselves. The suspension and the shocks seem to soak up the bumps very well, and visibility is good. Obviously, you have a lot of great driving aids, the blind spot monitoring, and all of that good stuff. So even if you had a really bad blind spot, well, obviously that would kind of remedy that to a way. And to be honest, when I look over my right shoulder, well, there is a little bit of a blind spot. It's not the worst I've ever seen. It's also not the easiest to see out of, just because of the way the roof pillars are set up back there and the overall direction that everything goes and what it does for visibility. But that's the good thing about having the blind spot monitoring, the modern day conveniences of these vehicles. And what about the price on this model? What can you expect to pay? A little over $60,000 to be exact. I believe it's $60,540 for this model. Not too terribly bad. And within the infotainment screen, you do have Google Assistant. And since I've been on the power pedal a little bit and I'm curious to know, I don't have to necessarily look down at the digital instrument cluster. I can just do this to find out how much charge I have remaining. Hey Google, how much charge do I have remaining?
Your battery is at 58%.
Yeah, I've been driving around quite a bit this afternoon and have definitely stepped on the power pedal a few times to enjoy the acceleration. And so I started at 70%, so to be down to 58% is not too bad. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed with this vehicle overall. What about cargo capacity? Because obviously you have the frunk up here. There's not a lot of additional space there, but your numbers are going to range between 16.6 cubic feet up to 42.6 cubic feet. And while I realize that may not be class leading, at least you know what you have there. Now, if you're wanting to maximize those numbers, obviously you're going to have a little bit more if you buy the Volvo XC40. The XC40 Pure Electric is going to have a different roof line that's a little bit more squared off back there in the rear. But overall, a very nice vehicle. You've got the panoramic sunroof. You probably know that because I have the camera mounted up there. The GoPro is mounted by the suction cup mount up there to that panoramic sunroof, giving you the best view I possibly can here. Now, one thing that I know a lot of people talk about that they don't like about these Volvo models is pretty much eliminated here, and it has to do with the fact that the air conditioning system is controlled from within the infotainment screen right here. And if you didn't have Google Assistant, yeah, that would still be a problem. But here's what you can do. Hey Google, adjust the air conditioning to 74 degrees.
Sure, changing the AC to 74 degrees.
There's a big advantage of Google Assistant. She's literally there to assist you with just about anything you want. Notice I said just about, so I probably don't have to tell you that she's not going to drive the vehicle for you, not yet at least, but who knows what might happen in the future. So tell me down in the comments section, are you planning to buy a 2022 Volvo C40? If you are, tell me what exterior color and what options you would like to have, or if you already have one, tell me all about it. I'm curious to know. To learn more about the model in today's video, visit the link in the description for a detailed comparison between trims and pricing for the vehicle we featured or any vehicle you may be interested in. These pages feature information such as our recommended trim level based on price, value, and features. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. We look forward to seeing you next time.